Yo, welcome back to another episode of Broken to Redemption podcast. My guest today, Jennifer's from Georgia. She's going to come on here and tell us about all the abuse she endured her whole life and how she overcame it. So let's go ahead and bring Jennifer into the room. Jennifer.
I can hear you.
Okay. How are you today?
Good.
Yeah. It's raining over there?
Yes, pouring down raining.
So I was telling on my intro that about I didn't go into detail. I just said that you suffered a lot of abuse your whole life.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you go ahead and tell me, how was your childhood? Was it a normal childhood?
My childhood was not really, I guess you could say. My parents, they fought a lot. I remember my dad used to be, I don't know if he still is, but he was an alcoholic, and him and my mom would argue like all the time. And sometimes it would get physical. And I just remember my mom and dad never really got along my entire childhood. And they always, when my dad left when I was 5. And I remember he had said that he was going to get some candy and he would be right back. But obviously he never came back. And during my childhood, my mom really she tried her best, but I don't think she was ever really happy in the sense, because she always had multiple boyfriends. Every time we turned around, she had another boyfriend. And I was about 6 years old. We moved in with one of her boyfriends. That's really when the abuse started. He was also abusive to my mom, but he ended up molesting me, and it went on for quite some time. And then I think I was a couple years later, my own brother started molesting me, and I didn't know really what to think. I was young. I thought it was, in my sense, I was like, oh, okay, this must be how you show love. I really didn't know. But
so you thought it was normal?
Yeah, I thought it was normal. I didn't really know any different. And
did your parents know about the abuse?
My mom never knew about what her boyfriend did, but I had told her about my own brother, and she just basically told me to lock my door at night, was it. And so she never really did anything. She just said, lock your door at nighttime. He won't come in. But what about the other parts of the day? And it stopped with my mom's boyfriend when he put her in the hospital, and she left him for another man that she was seeing. And it didn't stop with my brother either. We moved in with my mom's mom, and it still continued with my brother, but it was never really, it needs to quit. It wasn't a big deal to them. Then I was 11 years old. My mom's brother-in-law, I don't really remember how old he was, but he was really, really old. I went to stay the weekend with my aunt, and just like any other normal weekend. She never had kids, but she always treated me as one of her own. And I loved going there, but this weekend in particular, her husband sexually molested me. And I told my mom. For some strange reason, she believed me, but it wasn't like, we got to do something. And I did tell my dad, and he just said, don't let me catch him, and that was really it. And so even after my mom...
Do you think that they believed you?
And a lot of people don't realize, yes, my mom's been gone for like 16 years, but I've hated her for that, for her not believing me. Like, she said, I believe you, but it was like, I think it was more so just to get me to be quiet. And so after that happened, I honestly don't know how no one ever really caught on, just because I'd have to go. He would come and visit. They would come and visit because it was her mom's house. And even though I lived there, she still let her come visit. They would always tell me, you need to tell him bye. Go hug him bye. Like, don't be rude. And of course, you had to listen to the adults. And every time I would go hug him bye, he would put his hands down my shirt in a room full of people. Nobody saw a thing. And I don't know if my mom said anything, or I don't remember how it came about, but one of my mom's brothers heard about it. He went over to my uncle's house to confront him. And my uncle's exact words were, if I hurt her in any way, I am sorry. And from then on out, even till my aunt passed away, and I still was told I lied about it. I wanted it to happen, thought about it. I dreamed about it. I was a slut. I was a whore. And I have a thing for older men that do that. And that's messed with me a lot. And then my mom met the guy that she met after the one that sexually molested me. And my dad was only coming around when it was convenient for him, even though they had joint custody. So it was court ordered I'd see him every other weekend, but he just never really put in the effort. And the boyfriend that she got with, we moved in with him, and was the dad that I never really had. We did everything together, and I finally thought my mom was like, okay, she's finally got someone, maybe now she can be happy. And no, my mom, I don't really know, I never saw her do drugs or anything, but anytime when I started dating or had guy friends, she would always be like, you're not man enough to handle this, or just make inappropriate comments that were really bothersome to me, because no woman should do that to any
Right.
kids. Yeah. And when I was I was 14, she let some guy that I was talking to, I think he was in his 20s maybe, I don't really remember, but I didn't know his full age until after the fact. But she let him come over, and she's like, I'm just going to be in my room and y'all got to stay in the living room. Well, unfortunately, that night he raped me. She never really said anything. She was just like, well, you shouldn't have had him over, but I didn't tell him to come over. And then was that? Yes, I was 14, and then, backtrack a little bit, because I just remembered this. I was in 8th grade, maybe? Yes, I went to church. I grew up in church. I was forced to go to church. Not that, now that I don't see that as a big deal, because I love going to church. But there was a guy, and for some odd reason, he took a liking to me. Why, I don't know. It got to the point where I had to go to the police station because he would send me very inappropriate pictures that he drew, lingerie in the mail. He would constantly come by my house. Everywhere I went, he basically was there. And when I got the photo or the pictures in the mail and everything, that's when my mom was like, well, my stepdad was like, well, you need to take her to report this. This is not okay. I went to report it. Nothing ever really got done about it. He just ended up finding, I guess, another person. That's when I was 14, that's when I got raped by another man, and she just was like, shouldn't have brought him over. And that's when I started. It was a couple years later, my stepdad passed away, and it took a really big effect on me. I started drinking, and I started smoking pot, and I would stay out all hours of the night. I didn't care if school night, whatever. I would sleep with, I would have sex with anybody, like any boy that looked my way, sure. Well, I ended up pregnant at 17, and we had been dating for about a year, I think, and he moved in with me. My mom's like, yeah, you can move in. I don't think she really cared at this point, because he was abusive verbally and physically. That's one of the reasons I lost the baby. And she didn't really care, so I was like, well, fine. And I thought that was and at this time, my mom had another boyfriend. My stepfather had only been gone a couple months at that, and she had another boyfriend who, some odd reason, took a liking to me, but it never was, I don't think anybody really paid attention. And then I just said, you know what? I can't do this anymore, because I thought, once again, that was love. If a man hits you or does what he does, it's love, because that's what I was always known to do. That's what I was always known or brought up around, except the one my mom had my stepfather. And so I moved out at 17, in with the guy that I was going to have a child with. Friday, April the 13th of 2007, I ended up getting into a horrible car crash that they had told my parents I wasn't going to make it. And I ended up in an induced coma for about 4 days. During this time, the guy that I was with was cheating on me and everything else you could think of. When I got home, at first he was, "Oh, I'm so sorry this happened." He was taking care of me and everything. But then it turned into, I still didn't remember, like, I couldn't remember how to dress myself and I needed help. Obviously, I would get hit, and because he's like, I don't have time for this. Either you can do it, or because I'm not. Are you just gonna sit there? And it would be verbally. We'd fight, we'd argue, and then my mom called because she wanted to spend the weekend with me, and I went to see her. And then when I went to see her, I thought, oh, well, my mom's finally going to be something. And when I went to see her, he had said, if you don't come back, then we're through. I said, fine, we're through, then I don't really care. But that's really when my addiction to pain pills came about, because I got diagnosed September the 5th of 2007 with Crohn's disease. And that was just really to me, that was a perfect opportunity. Hey, I have stomach pain. They'll believe me, and then they'll give me the pain meds that I want. And nobody knew. Like, I don't really think anybody knew that I'm aware of, because they just thought she's really sick. And my dad really wasn't in the picture. I mean, he was, but he always hit on my friends, like, oh, how's your friend? Like, she's really cute. And then it became more so, he would make inappropriate comments to me about, I had a dream about you, or no, I had a dream about someone and I wish I had it again. If I told you who it was, I could go to jail. And I told him I really didn't want to hear that. That's between him and whoever. And then it dawned on me that he was speaking of me. And I told my mom, but it was like, I don't really have time for it. And they would always fight back and forth, bring me in, get me involved in it, and it just became too much. So when I was 14, I decided I was going to commit suicide. I took a whole bottle of Effexor, and when my mom called 911 and the cops came, I tried to take the cop's gun. I wanted it to be all done with, because I couldn't handle all the abuse that I went through and all the constant fighting of my parents. For some reason, I'm still here today. But after my mom moved out of my grandparents' house, when I came back to visit my mom, she lived with somebody else, another boyfriend. And she couldn't let me live with her. And my grandmother was like, no, you're not coming here. She said, after you lied about your uncle molesting you, you're not coming here. And so I ended up staying with one of my friends back in high school. And me and her mom became really close. But at the same time, I wasn't happy. I really wanted my own mother to be the mother that she should have been, but she wasn't. So then I started dating another guy. That same year of 2007. I think it was August, maybe. Yes, it was August. We had met at work and we dated for a little while. I really wasn't thinking much of the red flags. There was a lot of them until I went to work one night and he was just there. Like, no matter where, he was there. He knew when I was working and everything. So I was like, I told him I didn't want nothing to do with him anymore. I was done. He was calling me at work. It was too much. And he was supposed to take me home that night, but I had said, no, we're done. I'm not going to do this anymore. And that same night, he pulled a butterfly knife and held it to my throat, because I said, we're done and there's nothing you're going to do about it. And he said, you want to bet? And I said, you're not going to touch me. So he pulled the knife and held it to my throat and said, are you sure about that? And so I ended up taking him to court. The judge said money talks, bullshit walks, and he got nothing. And once again, nobody listened. I was just like, beyond it. Nobody listening, so whatever. And my pill addiction got worse, and I didn't really care. I ended up spending the night with a friend, because I was about to turn 19. he was supposed to take me to work the next day, but it was because it was snow on the ground and he had a 4-wheel drive. Well, that night he went to sleep and he had took his medicines to go to bed, and he was like a father figure. That's how old he was. Well, one of his other friends came in and I guess knew I was sleeping on the couch, and when before I went to bed, I remember having a glass of Coke. It was just half full. I remember it being half full, and then I tried to go to sleep, and then I got woken up because he was on top of me trying to take my clothes off, and I tried everything I could to like push him off, and I pushed him off, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna get some of my drink, and then I realized the glass was full, and I said, no, I'm just not gonna even drink it. I'm gonna wait. So I went to go back to sleep, and he just kept coming. And I remember kicking him, screaming, and yet on the 4th attempt, he actually raped me. And I called my friend's mom and told her, I called to tell her, and he kept taking the phone out of my hand and said that I wasn't going to tell anybody, and if I did, he would kill me. Well, eventually, I don't know I think somehow it got to her voice. She ended up getting a voicemail from hearing all the noise, so she called the sheriff. They came out there, and I went to the hospital and did a rape kit, and my dad met me at the hospital, and he had said, well, he knew the guy and was like, well, I'm going to go find this man. He's not going to get away with this. Well, nothing ever happened. I ended up meeting with an investigator, and the investigator said, basically, I had a whole bunch of pills in my system, and there was just there would have been no probable cause they wouldn't believe me, basically. So I gave up, and my pill addiction got worse and worse. And then I was also drinking, smoking pot, staying out whenever I wanted to. Maybe I moved in with one of my mom's brothers. And the conditions of me moving in was I had to do sexual favors. Once again, to me, it was like just another day, basically, because he was letting me stay there. So why not, right? My mom, like, she knew how he was because he would often ask and, you know, he would often ask her to do those things and she would decline. But when it was about me, she really didn't she's just like, okay, whatever. And it went on for quite some time, but then I met someone, and then on September 10th of 2008, we hadn't known each other for very long, but we ended up getting married. And I thought I finally found somebody that's going to be everything and more that I've been looking for. About a month into our marriage, he told me he was not going to spend the rest of his life with someone who was going to be in and out of the hospital as much as I was. And so we separated. And then I think I was 20. Yes, I had met my soon-to-be ex-husband, and that was just a disaster waiting to happen. But I, once again, thought everything was normal. And we met, and he was more into methamphetamine. He huffed gasoline. He did more of the harder drugs. And I had told him the drugs are me because I really wasn't into all the hard stuff. I just couldn't do it. And he ended up stopping all of it but the pot and the alcohol. And I was like, okay, I do that stuff, so I didn't really think it was bad. That I was like, oh, that's not bad because I do it. So there's no really point in making him stop those if I was going to continue to do it. And we moved in together January of 2009 in our own little place, and things just got worse from there because we would constantly fight. It would get verbally, physically. When he would huff duster, he would throw things, he would hit me. But I never left because I thought, okay, this is normal. This is love, so I thought. And we were together for 17 years. And
And the abuse happened the whole 17 years?
yes. And in 2000 I got pregnant with my oldest, and when I was pregnant with her, the abuse still happened, and he would shove me and push me down, and there were times that I thought I was not gonna have a child. I didn't think she was ever gonna make it. But something in me was like, I'm not giving up on this child. I can't. But yet I still stayed, because I thought, well, maybe he would change after having a child, because like maybe this will help him change. And unfortunately, I was wrong. When I went to go, well, I had left him for a little bit, and then I came back. And when I went to go in to have her, he said, you might want to get her real father. No, he said, I'm going to come because she obviously needs a father, because we don't know who her real dad is. He's the real dad. But he still was abusive even after she was born, verbally, physically, and emotionally. And then I lived in Virginia at this time, where I was born and raised. Christmas of 2010, because my daughter was born March 2010, and we moved down to Georgia to be with his grandmother, and the abuse never really went away. He still was verbally abusive and physically, and the alcohol addiction, he still had it. I had it, but it wasn't like everyday thing. And eventually, I just was like, I can't do this anymore. The pill addiction was still going on, because I guess for me it was easier to get rid of all the abuse and everything. I thought, okay, well, if I'm strung out on pills, I don't have to deal with anything. And it keeps him happy because he's got pills and alcohol too. So 9 years ago, I quit the pills and the pot, and the drinking stopped because I don't really like the way it made me feel. And I didn't do pills anymore because I was tired of how they made me feel. Like, it wasn't 5 minutes goes by and I'm not feeling the high that I once felt. So I had to keep, and I just didn't like it. And I tried to get him to stop, but it was just more abuse. And anytime I would say anything, I would get screamed at, yelled at, hit, told I was nothing. He hoped I would commit suicide, jump off a bridge. And then we had my son in 3 days before my birthday in December of 2013. And I thought, okay, well, now he has a son. Maybe he will be better because he's finally got a son. Well, it ended up getting even worse. I did everything for the kids that I could have, and eventually it got to the point where he was taking it out on them. I remember my son was 4 maybe, and I had a taser, and we were having a disagreement because I had said he needed to quit drinking, that I wasn't going to go buy anymore, and he ended up taking my taser out, tased my son in the stomach and my daughter and myself. But once again, this is normal, but nobody's going to listen to me. Nobody's going to come save me. And I was so broken, to the point I stayed, because he basically said it. No one's going to ever love me, and I'm going to be nothing. And I couldn't even work because of my health condition, but I tried the best I could. And so I eventually ended up going and getting my associate's degree in medical billing and coding. I went back and got my high school diploma at 30. And even then, he said I was nothing, that the school that I was going to earn my degree was a piece of shit because I was enrolled there. He would threaten me every day. Like, if I didn't go get his alcohol or cigarettes, he would take it out on me. And then I remember multiple bruises that I had to tell my doctor I fell, even though doctor never believed me, but that was the best way to trying to get out of a situation that probably would have ended worse if he would have found out about me telling. And when he would take it out on the kids, I would make sure to intervene because the kids are innocent. They never did anything. And it would get worse for me because I would get the of whatever he did. And I'm not going to get too much into this because it's not my story to tell, but he is currently incarcerated since April of 2024 for incest and rape of my oldest. And that is when when he got arrested, I finally felt like a weight had been lifted because I wasn't doing the pills, the pot, or the drinking, and trying to navigate all of that and and that happening. At first, I was like really shocked, and I was like, "Well, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like, I don't even know how I'm gonna make it. I have a son. I have a like, what am I supposed to do?" And I prayed every day though, because what else was I to do? And I tried every day to, be there for my kids as much as possible. On August of 2024, I lost custody of my daughter to her dad's sister. And at first, I was really devastated and I hated it. Not gonna lie, I wanted to go back to the pills, the drinking, because my daughter was gone. Like, did I fail her too? Like my mother failed me. But when I lost custody of my daughter, I still had full custody of my son. And so even while not having her, it was really devastating. Like I felt like I lost a huge part of my life because, not my life, but of myself, because we were really close and she was one of my best friends. But at the same time, I feel really guilty because I never did see that she was hurting or that anything was happening, because I was so focused on myself and what I was going through with her dad that I wasn't the mother that I was more of a best friend than a mom, basically. And after losing custody of her, I ended up meeting my now boyfriend that I've been with for about a year. And he introduced me to Celebrate Recovery about a year ago. And I grew up in church, so it wasn't really like, as a child, I was like, I don't really want to do this. Like, you're forcing me. But I was like, I'm going to give it a try. What more could I have to lose? Being in Celebrate Recovery and hearing the stories and, how I was nervous to tell anybody anything because I don't know these people. I felt like I go in here and I say this, they're going to be like, very judging, but I've been going for about a year and it's changed my life. I've actually gotten my relationship back with my daughter. No, it's not where I want it to be, but just knowing that she's going to come to my graduation in a few weeks is the biggest moment that I've ever want, because I want her to know that I'm doing everything I possibly can to make amends with her, be the mom that she needs, even though she's not in my custody, just be the mom that she needs, whether she's here physically or not, and being a good mom to my son, because there's a lot of times that I wasn't the greatest mom to him either. I'm not afraid to tell my story. I found a great group of people at Celebrate Recovery that have become like my sisters, and my boyfriend tells me every single day how no one's ever going to hurt me again, and how he makes me feel completely different than what I'm used to. And I think if it wasn't for us meeting on Facebook dating, that I probably would still be going down the same road. I wouldn't have known about Celebrate Recovery. I wouldn't have known that I'm not alone, that a lot of people, we share similar stories. And if it wasn't for that and for Jesus and God never leaving my side, I probably wouldn't be where I am today.
My man, do you have any advice for someone that is being sexually abused and is listening right now?
My advice, always speak up. And for those that they tell, like a trusted adult, don't act like it's not a big deal. Don't push it off and be like, oh, it's nothing. Don't continue to, if they tell you, don't continue to hang out with the person and go see them and act like you're not hurting them, because you really are. And always believe your children no matter what. Even if you think it's something silly, still believe them. And even if it comes out in the end that it's not true or whatever, you still did your part and made your child or any children feel they were heard and seen.
What about the ones that were abused, but they hold it inside still? Like they're afraid to tell somebody.
Just know you're not alone, that you are stronger than what happened to you, and never be afraid to say anything, because speaking about it is more powerful than keeping it in.
So, do you still bottle up resentments towards like your parents and all the people who abused you? Or have you learned because of going to Celebrate Recovery to forgive them and move on?
I've actually learned to
Or is it a work
forgive.
in progress?
It's actually still a work in progress. I recently just wrote my soon-to-be ex-husband a letter, which I'm not gonna give it to him, but I wrote him a forgiveness letter, and, um, I'm going to, in a couple weeks when we have a celebration for graduating the 12th women's 12-step class, I'm going to burn it. I'm gonna read it out loud and burn it, and because I realized during our marriage, he had problems, but I also was a lot of the problems as well. So it wasn't just him in the marriage, it was also me as well, but he was more violent than anything, but I still had my own faults.
Yeah, but you
And
can't
in
blame your
order
faults for everything that happened. You know what I mean?
No.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. Not at all.
And in order for anyone that's been sexually abused, physically, mentally, and you feel like you can't leave, there's always a way out. Don't ever think you're stuck because I thought I was stuck, but then I'm where I'm at and I'm extremely happy and I'm still working every day. I struggle with myself every single day. But if you ever get out and you're still years later holding resentment, forgive them, not for them, but for yourself so you can move on and finally be happy and not still being drugged down by what happened because what happened to you doesn't define you.
Right. So how is your relationship with your parents now? Do you talk to
My
them?
mom my mom's she passed away in 2000 September 24th of 2009, and my
Did you have
dad,
a good relationship with her? Did you learn to have a good relationship with her, or was it still kind of like rocky?
we ended up at the very end, we did everything. We tried to do everything together. We spoke on the phone, like, all the time. I would go see her, and I think her death really devastated me because I don't think I ever fully got the type of closure that I wanted because there was a lot of questions I had for her, like, "Why did you let this happen? Why couldn't you be more of a mother than you were? Why did you still hang around the people that did what they did and act like it wasn't a big deal?" But then my dad, we talk to this day, and I'm trying to get the relationship with my dad because he's my only parent left. We have our moments, but I'm trying to forgive because I don't wanna miss out on anything if he were to pass away. I don't wanna be wondering, "Well, what if?" Like, and I do ask him a lot of questions and bring up what he's done to me as a child, and he's told me he was sorry, and so I'm trying to, like, forgive him and just hope for the best, I guess.
Does his actions towards you show that he's sorry, or is he just using the word, or is he really sympathetic?
I'm not it's hard to read because we live in different states, and over the phone, he seems genuine, but now if it's through a text, it's like, I don't know how to read it. But I
It's always
will
hard to read.
say
It's always hard to read it on a text, the emotion behind a text.
yes, it really is. I will say, though, my soon-to-be ex-husband's mom, throughout the whole 17 years, she knew everything. Like, at first, I'm not gonna lie, we had a physical altercation, me and her, but after a while, she became one of my biggest supporters and my one of my best friends. We talk on it every single day. She is a lot of the reasons I never really gave up, even though I wanted to on multiple occasions, and I could have had the I've had plenty of opportunities, but she's one of the reasons that I still continued my education, try to be the best mom that I could be, and she's been a godsend to me. And she's the mom that I never had growing up.
Good. That's good. Do you have anything else you want to add to it?
Just never feel like you're alone in this world because a lot of people are struggling every single day with some of the similar stories, and always never be afraid to speak out. And I want people to know that they matter, they're important to this world, and as long as I'm alive, I'll always have their back, and my messages will always be open: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or TikTok. Please reach out to me, and I will do whatever I can to help you in any way that I can.
Go ahead and drop your social so if people need to reach out to you, they can. Just say it.
My Facebook is Jennifer Marie Dunbar. My TikTok Instagram and Snapchat it's OG Grumpy Frog, or you can also look it up by my name, Jennifer Dunbar. And yeah, feel free to message me if you're ever struggling or need someone to listen.
There you guys have it, guys. Jennifer, the computer died, so she got bumped off. I apologize for that. You guys are struggling with sexual abuse, there is a number I can provide for you. It is a National Sexual Assault Hotline. The number is 1-800-656-4673. Like she said, don't hold it in. Let somebody know. There's always help available out there. Until next time, guys, take care and hope you guys have a wonderful day.